Thomas here with Much Props, going to give you another how-to video. Today I am building something from One Piece. I was intending on building something completely different this week, and as I turned on my television that I typically watch back there as I'm building things, Netflix suggested that I try One Piece, the new live action one that just came out. So I put it on and started watching it, and ended up watching all the episodes and then switching over to the actual anime and started watching, and I really liked the series, so I thought, why not build something from it? And if you've ever watched One Piece, you know that there's nothing more iconic to the main hero than his straw hat that he wears. Not a typical pirate attire, but it is definitely something that stands out, and I thought it would be fun to make it out of EVA foam. So I realize going into this that there are a lot easier ways that you could go about doing this. Probably the easiest would just be to buy a straw hat, or you could actually make it out of straw. But I wanted to kind of test how good I could get something to look like something else, and EVA foam is very forgiving and easy to kind of modify. So today we are building a straw hat from the series One Piece out of EVA foam. Let's get to building. I sat down and made a quick, simple template that you can download for free in the description down below. It is a link at the very bottom. I traced my pattern onto some 8mm EVA foam with a Sharpie. You will notice that the pattern just has the right side. To get the left side, simply flip the template label side down and trace it again. This will give you symmetrical halves, be less cutting, and less printing for you. The cover page of my patterns explains all the markings and colors for you. Time to cut out the pieces. You'll notice on the brim piece there's a green highlighted edge. On my pattern, this typically means that there is a cut that needs to be made 45-degree angled outward from the line. You should end up with a wedge that sticks out from the piece. This will allow the brim to angle out away from the dome on the main body. All the rest of the edges are straight up and down cuts. Assembly time. I've put on a layer of contact cement to all the edges and am ready to tack them together once the glue is no longer wet. I like to close up my darts first and then, using the registration marks, line up the corresponding pieces. Normally I glue builds one half at a time, but since this build is literally just 4 pieces, I went for it all in one go. I noticed when I went to join my halves that it didn't get good coverage with my contact cement, so I just added another layer, waited for it to dry up a little, and then tacked it together. Now I'm marking out the spacing for my weaving lines I'm going to carve into the foam. Make sure to wear a respirator and work in a well ventilated area while sanding foam. The dust gets everywhere and the last place you want it is in your nose or in your lungs. Due to its basic shape, I could see this easily being modified to make a safari hat, or if you change the brim and the dome, maybe a cowboy hat. I did notice that the hat is slightly too big for my head. I could probably scale it back to about 95% or so for a better fit, but to be fair, the hat looks a little oversized on Luffy anyways because he was given this hat by an older pirate. My head is 24 inches around, so adjust your pirate hat accordingly. I have a video of how to size props that you could check out. I'll put a link to it down in the description also. With my ridges carved in with a rotary tool, I'm going to switch over to a wood burner to engrave the finer details. I'm making lots of little lines in between each of the ridges with a flat iron attachment on my wood burner to simulate straw. Make sure you're also wearing your respirator for this because when you're burning foam, the smell is horrible and you don't want to breathe in the fumes coming off of it. I purposefully make irregularities in the line so it looks a little more like a hand-woven hat. This step took me longer than all of the steps before it combined, even the making the template. I spent over 2 hours or so burning in faux straw, and not only the outside of the hat but also the inside of the brim. What's nice about burning in the details is that it hides my seam lines. Also, if you accidentally burn a hole through it, it just makes it look a little more authentic. Here I cut some strips of 2mm foam about the width of the faux straw. I'm going to cut or taper in the edges using my rotary tool to glue it over various spots to give the flat surface more dimensionality. This will make it look like repairs or tears and take away from it just being a flat piece. You can throw down as many of these as you want to and make parts stand out more. I did maybe about 12.5 random bits on mine, just super gluing them into place. Two coats of Plasti Dip. Then I hit it with some spray paint in a light brown for my base. I know what you're thinking, why did he spray paint it brown? This will be my darkest color in the crevices. I'm skipping the acrylic washes step by starting with the darkest color first. Now all I have to do is layer on lighter tints of yellow on top of it. I went with some thick body acrylic since I'm using lighter colors on darker colors. It gets better coverage than my typical paint and I can buy more variations in the color. It's usually a little bit more expensive, but I think worth the time time saving that it's going to give me in the long run. I slather on my initial pass of the darker yellow pretty heavy. As it dries, I add lighter yellow to the mix, slowly adding more white with each new layer until I get the color I want. I also make lighter passes, painting more splotchy and trying to hit just edges as I work towards my final passes. I think my color ended up being in a comfortable middle ground between the anime and the live action. The anime is more of a yellow color and the live action is more of a brownish color. Now I'm gluing on a 1 1/4 inch thick strip of 2mm foam around the base of the dome to make my fabric band. I'm just gonna super glue it directly to the hat. I added a strip of 8mm foam on the inside of the hat so that it would fit my head better. Then I took a strip of leather, cut a hole in that inside strip that I just mentioned, and fed the leather through it. I super glued it to secure it in place. This will act as my hat strap. Luffy's hat in the live action has a strip of leather on the bottom that allows you to tension the hat up against your chin. Very rarely is he ever actually cinching it up, which leads to his hat flying off in the wind or during battles. I just cut a strip of the same leather that I used for the strap, punched a hole in the middle and on both ends, and then secured them together using a single Chicago screw. And with that, I am finished with my Luffy straw hat. And we are finished. Here is the end result. Overall, it's not too bad. I definitely think it's kind of a middle between like the anime and the TV series. It's a little bit yellower than the actual thing, but it's very close to what the anime's color would be. I really like the way that the strap turned out with the little adjustable thing so you can tighten it up around your head, and especially the little random strands that I put in there like it was breaking or that it had been repaired, because it does happen when he's in battle with enemies and things. So yeah, maybe you'll try and make one of these yourselves and impress your friends with your ability to make something look like something else and function as what it's supposed to be. Yeah. Maybe you'll get some. Yay! And inevitably, they're gonna ask you, how'd you make that? You can give them one of these, tell them, much props. So, I'm just gonna put my hat on and snug it up for the wind and go sail for the one piece of treasure. Peace out. If you enjoy what I do here on YouTube and want to see more builds like this one, please consider joining these awesome people listed here with me over on my Patreon to build a bigger, better, more creative community together.